Hi guys, George here, and what I would like to do today is make an analysis video of SK4. SK4, here it is, ASL S4, welcome back. As I've said in the previous three videos, takes place on the 16th of December 1944 in Hosingen, Luxembourg. I probably pronounced uh, the name of that village improperly now, maybe for the fourth time or so. But anyways, I was inspired to do this analysis video for two reasons. Typically, what I do is tips and tactics, solo play, and I don't mean to sound like a thesaurus, but another word for tips and tactics is probably analysis. And the second reason I was inspired to do this video was because well, Stu made an interesting comment, and I'll go into that later. But we'll take a look at the comment and see if it has any merit or not, or um, what analyze exactly what is being said there, and what are the implications of taking that advice. So that should be interesting. If you'll forgive me, I'll take another sip of my Nescafe coffee. I do have a busy day ahead. It snowed up here in Canada, just north of Montreal, and I have a lot of snow clearing to do. But before I do the outdoors, indoors, need to do some housekeeping, probably make some breakfast for the boys, pancakes and bacon with maple syrup. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a person in your home that is not a morning person, the way you motivate them to get up is making pancakes with bacon and of course maple syrup. Nescafe helps as well. So with that said, we need to understand that we should all be playing to win. Now, the good words of Jim Bishop come into play that he kind of laughs at anybody that tells him that that they play just for the fun of it and the whole schmeal. And I was probably one of these type of persons that could not readily admit that I am playing to win. I am playing competitively. I do cherish wins more than losses. Who doesn't, right? And what he kind of says in his blog, and I'm going to make a reference to his blog because this analysis uh, outline really doesn't belong to me. It does belong to Jim because he came around with it a lot sooner than I did. And to quote Jim, you can still play to win and be a good sportsman. Good sportsmanship goes a long way in acquiring good opponents that you can acquire friendship and play for the long term as opposed to the short term. The other thing you should keep in mind is keeping logs and you're reviewing your gameplay is indispensable. Keep notes. I'm sure I've shown in my previous video my little journal and my fountain pens. This is a Kaweco plastic, not too expensive. It's the least expensive of all the Kawecos. And then recently I also acquired a Japanese Platinum Preppy. Then this one has black ink, and this has blue ink, and I have a pretty nice journal that I started exclusively for ASL. And all it is, it's a little Cambridge journal. Comes like this. And as you can see, I have all my notes in here, which is great to have. Now, having said that, despite keeping notes and keeping mental notes of all the mistakes that can be done and whatnot, they tend to arise one way or another because if the opponent you're playing against is equally as good or better than you, they will inflict the pain that you once inflicted on someone else on you. I think that's called karma. Um, the biggest mistake I think people can make or uh, allow an opponent to do upon you is to cut your route paths. If you cut a person's route path, um, then the game goes south for them really quickly, because then uh, the units are outright eliminated. Never mind prisoners, and prisoners is not bad because with a task check roll, that's in the advanced game. It's not in starter kit, but it can arise in not in starter kit, but in the real game. Prisoners starting to attack their guards and whatnot, and it becomes really interesting. Um, so let's see what was the comment that was made. Okay, I'll bring it up in a moment. So here's the comment in question: Vaseline with Stu, tactics and analysis. Uh, at 14 minutes uh, into the video now, as a viewer, I should like this comment. Love it, not too sure, but is great. As you are playing solo, common sense versus a random DR must prevail. The CX237 is the last target that last in capitals, all caps, target the HMG that would fire at on the board, especially with the entire German OB yet to come on. Uh, Last in all caps, I think that's really cap. But anywho, I'll show you why it's all cap. And if you don't understand what cap means, modern dictionary, I suppose, modern street language dictionaries, I don't think the comment holds water. Yeah, more coffee, delicious. So let's go to that scene. Let's click on the hyperlink, and here I am wearing my.
I'm not going to fire him. Z9 for 4.
Here I am wearing my army attire here.
And still not worth firing. So 2, 4, 6 to there. Now, with this fellow coming in on board, is it worth firing at this point, or do we wait? And we'll roll a die on it. 1d6, 1 to 3, we wait. 4, 5, 6, we fire. And hope to get rate. Let's see. 5. So we were going to fire and hope to get rate. If we put get rate, we don't have residual. So we're going to fire the HMG, leader directed, and we had to roll for weather to see if it's snowing. Let's see. It is not snowing. We rolled a 9. So there is no +1 hindrance as per special rule number 1. So the total firepower factors, because we're going to first fire only using the support weapon, I like these purple counters, will be an 8 even shot. It will be +3 for the building, -1 for non-assault movement, and -2 for the leader. So an 8 even shot. This is easy. We do not get rate. So it's going to be marked with a first fire counter, and a 6 on the 8 chart is, I believe, a 1 morale check. 8 charts. Well, this is infantry only, so the rule book will do. Oh, but I got my LFT ratchet.
I'll stop the video there, and I'll explain to you what happened here. So what is happening, in fact, is that we are in a bit of a dilemma, because as you can see, most of the flanking forces here may or may not be in the line of sight of the 10-2 leader. These units here are guarding the open ground here, and I have to ask myself, as a German player, am I going to present a target to a 10-2 leader with an HMG, yes or not, or do I want to carefully advance in there and create a fire group? That was one option. The other option is to take advantage of this path of entry undercover and really move up the board unimpeded, and then start trying to to break the Americans and clear a path for the rest of the units to go up. Also, I was asking myself, is it worth firing in this direction? Because what's going to happen to him? And here, whether anybody realizes it or not, I have another unit that can take care of business. So it was really difficult to judge what should be done first. But when I'll go over the way you should analyze a scenario, and then it will become evident that this was, in fact, not such a bad idea to, um, uh, give it a good roll of the luck, and because ultimately there was merit to this rule. And in this case, the SSR would not have come into effect whether the snow was in play or not, because the range was less than 6x's. So, with that said, how do we analyze a scenario? So, again, I'm going to refer back to Jim Bishop, and there are 4 factors that you need to look at. Let's get a little paint program, because we like to draw. Right. Okay, so I have a little blue pen here. So there are 4 factors you need to look at, and one is time. So maybe blue is not the best color. All right. So let me refresh that, and I'll rewrite that. So red does the trick. Time. There you go. And in terms of time, what we have here are 5.5 turns. So the defender does not get a turn in the last turn. Why would you need a turn in the last play at the last turn whatsoever? Because if either the German units have made it off the board or not. The second element is terrain. So let's go back to our drawing board and put in terrain. So far we have t squared, if you like math. So let's say that's t squared. There you go. So in terms of terrain, the map offers excellent opportunities for excellent, somewhat plausible opportunities to advance, and excellent opportunities to defend. So let's clean up the board a little bit. Yeah, let's clean up the board. I like my scribble scrabbles, but I also like my lines equally as much. So in terms of terrain, let's start with areas where there are plausible and good defensive locations, right? Yeah. So you have to start as the American player. You really have to start. Let me see if I got the right color. Yep, red. Okay, so you gotta start uh, on or greater than hex rows numbered by 4. So more or less around here, right? But you have excellent areas to defend here, here, and here. And further to the right of the board, this tree line 2 is also great. So yeah, keep that there. Let's go with the brush, and there you go. Now, if you're not keen on a forward defense, right, this location 2 is a bit risky, but ultimately, I've had at least one opponent set up the HMG here, and on his turn, he just goes back to this building here, and then with the HMG having such a long range, he can really wreak havoc here and there. Again, if you don't want a forward defense, this building here is a stone building, and you can use it to block an advance from here. And on the other side of the board, again, if you don't want a static defense, if you don't want a forward defense, these buildings here, well, here, are a nice way to set up and then fall back as much as you can and wait for the Germans to advance, or you can skulk and whatnot. But I would recommend a more forward defense in this case as the Americans than uh, a rear defense. Now, how about avenues of advance? So let me clean up the board and we'll explore the proper or uh, good ways to advance under cover without taking an immense amount of risk. All right, all right. All right, so in terms of terrain, how do you mitigate risk and advance to the best of your ability um, without being reckless? Um, so there's a couple of terrain features that are conducive to that strategy, and basically this area here is great because these orchards still have a hindrance, and the good thing about this is that if you advance as the German player from here, even if you're broken around here, if there's nobody to cut your route path, you can route forward and gain an extra 6 movement points. Now, having said that, um, we'll explore how many turns it takes to go from one side of the board to the other if you're completely unimpeded, just to get a rundown of that. So let's go just realign the board here. All right. Now on the other side of the board, or in the middle side of the board actually, there is this tree line that you can use to advance as well. So here's the tree line. You can go like this, or you can do a nice split and set up here. I like this position here to set up at least a medium, because then you can use as a fire base to at least try and break units that have been setting up front. You know, and you're bringing in the unit here with assault movement so that they will get the full +2 detriment. As the German player too, this is a way of advancing, and basically here you got 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes out of a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So what this represents here is that nearly you can advance a unit here up to nearly a third of the board under cover and bring an excellent unit there that can try and repel the Americans, break the Americans, and provide a clean path to exit. Remember, you have to exit from here and here. Exiting units from that part of the board and that part of the board is not permitted. Gee, I feel like Joe made in here. This is really a good tool. Now, having said that as well, if this area is not covered by the Americans right here, right? Excellent area to advance unimpeded up to the tree line, across here, hop around there and there. Now, why wouldn't anybody try a scattered advance up the middle? Is that prohibitive? It would be prohibitive only if you notice that the American setup is completely at fault in one way or another, or you want to try your luck, which is pretty risky, um, or you use the defensive fire principles, and if the unit that approaches or bum rushes the Americans survives by some miracle, then the other units can advance. But that is not recommended. There is always a risky strategy, and risk does have its rewards. Um, am I recommending you a risky strategy? Definitely not. I'm not that kind of player that takes that much risk. Now, element A, just to recap, is time. Element B is terrain. Element 3 is the victory conditions. So the victory conditions, I've put them up here. The Germans win immediately upon exiting 10 VPs off the west edge on between I-11 and Y1. Each squad is worth 2 VPs. A half squad is worth 1 VP. And -1 SMC is worth 2. Each -0 and +1 SMC is worth 1 VP. Interesting to note. So let's clean up our scribble scrabble here. So what do the victory conditions tell us about what we need to achieve? So what we need to look at in this case is the OB and realize two things. How does the terrain and the victory conditions and everything we've discussed so far tie in with what I need to do in order to succeed? So here, in terms of VP, we have 6, 12, no, 3, 2, 4, 6, yep, 12, plus another 16 is 18, 22. 22 victory points. So we have 3, 6, 12, 13, 14, 14 times 2. Hey man, did I get the math wrong? 3, 6, 12, 13, 14, 14 times 2, 28 victory points. All fine and dandy. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, 36, 38. So with only 10 of the 38 VPs that need to exit, so 10 victory points represent 26% of your total OB, and you have, therefore, 1 minus 0.26 that are expendable. More or less, you can, as a German player, you have the luxury of getting up to 75% of your forces eliminated, provided you exit the right combination of squads in order to meet your 10 VP objective. And as again Jim Bishop said, even a Pyrrhic victory is a victory. The moment you get 10 units, 10 VPs off the board, you won. You don't care if you've lost the other portion of your OB that was expendable. So you know your VP, you know your OB, you know that how many units you have expendable, and with those units, if with the units that are expendable, you know that you can use them to tie up the American player, or throw a diversionary attack to allow the others to advance through their victory objective, which is a serious bonus for the German player. Now, another couple of things. For those of you coming from the classic game, again, this ties in with terrain and time. Okay, with terrain and time, if under the perfect scenario, completely unimpeded, right? These leaders are not useless. They're in fact an asset because one, they're worth 1 VP. Two, they allow the unit to move 6 movement points as opposed to 4. So in the best case scenario, a unit under a leader, even a 7-0 leader, they go CX on the first turn. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're already across the board. On the second player turn, again unimpeded, they're off the board. And congratulations, you got 3 VP. A unit alone, let's go 1 to there, CX on the first turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then second player turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, and advance out off the board. So in terms of attaining your victory conditions, those leaders are indispensable for the German player. Now, with that said, let's bring our leader and HMG out on the board. And what I did was I really messed up. I put the HMG with a 666. I should have put him with a 667, right? Right there, let's say, or he was here. It doesn't really matter. Now, all of a sudden, or I did put him there. All of a sudden, I can't just dash across the board. And I need, if I'm smart or cautious, to advance through terrain for cover. I can't just go out the board. And as a defender, I believe you have free loss checks, right? And you have free loss checks. And here you have some hindrances. It's pretty much clear, but here you don't. Here's a hindrance, but here's a hindrance. So this is pretty much open ground, but you do have some blind hexes that you can deny the American player a clean shot. And if the snow hindrance is in effect, all the more power to the German player. So in this case, common sense is not enough to use in order to prevail. You have to really analyze terrain, time, victory conditions. And the next fact, I find it a little bit trivial, but it's important just the same. You always take the important shots first. So just to recap, the 4 elements in analyzing a scenario so you can win the scenario and go above and beyond common sense are time, terrain, I'm just going to put TER, for terrain, right? VCs, and important shots. Important shots first. Now, when you analyze this event here, what I did was I reserved my inherent firepower because inherent firepower can cower. So statistically speaking, if you cower, you have a shift in the firepower and you reduce the amount of residuals that you can leave there. When you do a leader directed attack with an HMG, the worst possible outcome is that you break the gun, which is a very improbable event. 2 to 3%, let's say, that your gun will break and you roll snake eyes. The second least unfavorable event will be that you leave approximately 4 residuals there, or 2 if the hindrance is the way. So if there is no hindrances, you leave 4 residuals there. Now that may have been a mistake that I did because I may have not counted the hindrance, but in this scenario here, each unit that decides now to go through this path of advance will incur a 4 even shot. So even if the leader, the Germans did not want to present a target of opportunity to Murphy, or they had the intent of advancing to Z7, now they have to really think twice. And the most favorable outcome is I'm using inherent firepower, right? So if I keep rate, and there's a 50% chance that I will, by keeping rate, I can be rest assured that you inflicted some damage on the unit that's advancing, and you have the opportunity to do so again. So in this case, when you take common sense aside, and I'm sure Stu did not intend to be derogatory and imply that he didn't have any common sense. I have to applaud him that when I am dry on content, he's my inspiration for content, and I appreciate him watching my channel. So he probably watches it for a reason. I have to interview him on that one. But anywho, so you gotta go above common sense and really be analytical with respect to that. Look at the probabilities, but also look at the 4 elements of critical analysis as they pertain to your gameplay. Yeah. Now the other important event that I did was, and I'm going to reiterate, I know I've said it before, is that you need an MG there and a good leader, right? Because this fellow can advance up the alley. Right, where is he here? He can either advance up the alley, or he can pick a shot here and cover the whole area there. He can open up the middle and have everybody run up the middle before the Americans rally. Yeah, so those are the 4 critical elements. That said, I think we covered most of the important things that we need to understand in playing this particular scenario well. Yeah. So let's clean up the board again. So to conclude, what's worth doing is a little recap. So we need to always keep logs and review our gameplay. Keep notes about what went right, what went wrong. Murphy's Law may or may not prevail. Know that taking risk may come with extreme rewards or extreme detrimental consequences. Keep in mind the 4 key elements in creating a good plan, in creating a good analysis. They are time, terrain, victory conditions. Always take important shots first. I'm going to link again Jim's blog to this video. Pretty important, I think. And in terms of analyzing gameplay, what should prevail over common sense is that I am a strong proponent of being of selective targeting. I like to first go after leaders. I like to go after open top AFEs. But at the same token, when you analyze the victory conditions and the terrain that affords cover to your attacker, you need to be cognizant of that and take advantage of the tools at your disposal to deny the attacker these benefits that they have. Um, yeah. So I kind of said a mouthful in a little bit over 35 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was very rewarding and a learning experience for you. It certainly was for me in terms of playing this scenario and in terms of taking notes and doing some extra reading apart from the rule book and looking at blogs, important blogs, I suppose. Um, I've always learned a lot from uh, other bloggers and YouTubers, and a lot of the advice, believe it or not, that I just gave you. I kind of remember Stu talking about it in Tactical Tuesdays. I'm not sure if he still has Tactical Tuesdays going on because I played every Tuesday night, so I wouldn't have time to attend. But I remember him extolling one important fact as well: is leave residuals everywhere. So that's something I actually even tried to do in the advanced game, especially when I'm outnumbered and I have a few troops up in front. I first fire, I final fire, I try to final protective fire, different avenues of approach, because the more residuals I leave, the more reluctant my enemy will be about approaching me, and the more cautious. And cautious in a game where you're limited for time and you have to achieve a certain amount of movement can be your greatest enemy. And in this game, as the last takeaway is, as a German player, if you're not moving, you're losing. So I kind of recapped and I've said everything that I needed to say. I think I did the best to my ability in getting some important insights across to you. Um, and with that said, the last thing I'd like to say is that I'd like again to thank all my subscribers from the people that stuck to this channel from the very beginning to the new subscribers. Unlike certain uh, certain instances where I don't know, certain businesses make offerings to new clients, but not to the old ones. I'd like to thank everybody equally, and I'm being very grateful. As you've noticed, I've changed my banner page on my YouTube page. Um, in the beginning, I really didn't know which direction I was going in on YouTube, and I still like doing tax videos because tax knowledge is important. I know it's not related to Advanced Squad Leader, but that's something I had started, and perhaps I'll continue. But the preponderance of my videos are about Advanced Squad Leader. So for the time being, um, the banner will be as is, and I'm looking forward to a new year with new improvements to this channel, more content, more interesting content, and uh, more knowledge in the least amount of time that I can relay to you is going to be a plus. And I'm going to also look at making further improvements um, because the channel is growing and I have your support. And I would greatly appreciate it if you watch this video to like and subscribe and to tell by word of mouth to other folks. Let them be aware of this channel because with this topic, which is very sensitive, World War II, um, it's nothing that the YouTube algorithm promotes. And please do the same for the other channels that for the folks that take their time and share their Advanced Squad Leader experience with you. Having said that, I wish you a great weekend and have a great day. Until we meet again, adios.